Yes, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I hope you're all happy and healthy. It's Sunday. Happy Sunday. Please do me a favor, guys, as we get straight out of the bat. Do the sort of admin. Get the ball rolling as we like it to be rolled. Smash the like button for us if you enjoy the content. Only if you do, hit the subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell and drop the comments thick and fast. Where do you want to throw the mud? Here's the question. There can be mud thrown tonight. Mud should and will, no doubt, be thrown in my direction for my attempt at just disseminating some information. I was misled, misappropriated information. Obviously, it all went a little bit square very quickly. But look, I'm not the only person that needs a little bit of mud, because if you are familiar with, some of you may, most of you won't be familiar with the WhatsApp group in which we are in. There has been an ongoing debate for the last maybe 5 days, 6 days around how bad Richarlison is.
Wow.
He should be horned out.
Shameless.
You're a dick.
I'm bringing it straight in. And look, James Flower, this guy here. James has been on my side.
Shameless.
He's been on my side the whole time, right? So it's been largely been myself against Adam William Cahill and Brian Timlin, who have been the main advocates of why Richarlison is a superstar, why Richarlison is a monster, he's a top player. They never give me any reasons to substantiate it apart from he's a shithouser. Like I always said, if the main adjective that your best supporters, your vocalist supporters, can give to you is your shithousery, then that basically is just one big giant consensus, which way you shape it, that he's not very good. But James has been on my side. James has been chiming in, going, Butler's right, and there's his 5 more reasons why Richarlison's an absolute show. And look, he's wearing a lovely little T-shirt today, isn't he? He's wearing a lovely little T-shirt that happens to look a little bit like a Tottenham jersey for the 25-26 season. James, if you just like to lean forward and just like do a little pirouette there, we can see what's on the back of your shirt.
Mate. Nothing.
You want to explain yourself?
Nothing. He's already peeled it off. Here he is. There he goes.
So let me explain. Obviously, DHK, I downloaded the app. Normally, I do it all on my computer. Download it on the app. I thought this is well easy. Sweet. Do this. I changed buyer last minute because one come up like free delivery guaranteed within 10 days. Changed buyer, clicked it, purchased, sorted, done. Both got sent. I've got this and the goalkeeper top, by the way, and that's also got Richarlison on the back of it.
No, it's not good, mate.
The best bit is when I message you back saying, "What have you done? You've sent me Richarlison." He was like, "Don't you want Richarlison?" No one wants Richarlison.
No
have you ever sold anyone? Like,
you might be. That's probably why you probably didn't misclick. They've just been like, "Oh, let's presume he misclicked. We've got about 400 of the bastards in the back of them. No one's buying."
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
Boys, how you doing? James, how are you, mate? It's good to see you, buddy. How you doing?
Well, I was all right, to be fair.
Until he got called out, right?
Yeah, it's been ruined, you know what I mean? That's the last time I stick up for you, mate. Next time box office is here, I'm going to let him have you.
Well, of all the things that you could do to make it up to you, like make it up to me, that's probably the best way to do it. I do appreciate you backing me on that one. And look, at the end of the day, mate, I've had some mudding thrown my direction for the last 24 hours, and like I have to disseminate the mud like I disseminate information poorly, and so it is what it is, mate. But we've got a lot to talk about, mate. It's great to have you on, of course. Great to see everybody in the chat. Please do like, subscribe, and comment. Drew Zilla, my man, how are you, Drew?
Right.
Drewski, you okay?
I'm doing all right, mate. It's good to be on with you. First time on with James. Good to meet you, mate.
You're not mentioned before?
Yeah. No. First time. I'm what a first appearance. Brilliant.
Yeah.
I just want everyone to know I'm fully Ange out now. Given the last couple of appearances. Oh yeah. Sorry. No. I'm just fucking around. Just because I feel like nothing's really changed and I was led to believe it was going to be all changed. So I'm just feeling very facetious today, Sean. But big up to everyone in the chat. Big up to Blaine, who's already gifting out memberships. Drum the thumb. Good to be here. Looking forward to chatting.
I kept seeing a few chats. Chats talking about Brian Daigle. I don't know. I haven't seen. Has Brian Daigle gone into meltdown mode or something? Is that what's happened? I've not caught up. What is everyone's saying? That is Daigle coming on? Is Daigle having something's going on with Brian Daigle? Is he doing the usual? Something goes wrong at Tottenham, and bless him. I love him to pieces. God bless him. It has to be Daniel Levy's fault. Let's get out the old. Wait, where's that drum? Levy out. Is that what's going on here? Is that where the world should be going, Drew? Is the world going by the Tottenham fan base right now very much violently turning back towards Daniel Levy out because of a guy that we didn't sign that we probably didn't need anyway?
Yeah, right. That's very much how it feels, right? And it's just what we do around here. It's still, regardless, it's still who we are, mate. Nothing changes. It's fucking ridiculous. So yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I was kind of along the lines of, I mean, Morgan, Gibbs White. I mean, if that's what Thomas Frank wanted, then happy days. Yet again, we've been left to look like a bunch of idiots. I don't know how many players it is now that have used us to get pay rises, but it's starting to feel a little bit ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, I'm most concerned about the fact that it doesn't appear to. I mean, unless something miraculous happens the next couple of days, it doesn't appear that much else has been done in the background. And it's just why have we been left in a position where we're about to go on an Asian tour, and we're still working with the same tools that we had that we said weren't good enough last year, barring Mr. Kudus and maybe a couple of kids, you know. So I don't know, man. I don't know. But yeah, the pitchforks are out. It was, Vinny's pulling the strings a couple of weeks ago, and it's all changed, and now it seems to have gone to shit. We're back to it's all Levy's fault. So yeah, I don't get it either, mate. We'll dissect it, I'm sure. It'd be interesting to see what people in the chat think, because yeah, I just don't know what to make of it, mate. I don't know what to make of it.
I'll put out a poll in a minute to find out how the chat feel. James, yeah, just early intro thoughts, mate. Like on a scale of 0 to 10, how angry are you? How frustrated are you? Like, are you calm because we still got 6 weeks to go? Are you panicking because we got 3 days till career? I've just seen a video we saw in the background a minute ago of poor Chris Cowlin, who got shafted by a visa mudding because he changed flights. The poor bloke. I hope he figures it out. I met Chris for the first time at the Luton game. He's a very nice guy. But James, yeah, how are you feeling about the overall sort of situation? And by the way, has the preseason friendly, like the double header yesterday and how poor they both were, does that play into it? Or is that just like an irrelevance and it just happened? All of the anger right now is based on squad structure and the Morgan Gibbs White debacle more so than anything else?
So I'm a little, yeah, I am disappointed in Daniel Levy, to be honest. Well, I mean, the big circle of question is it Vinay? Is it Levy? Blah, blah, blah. We don't know. But for me, I don't think that we necessarily did anything wrong from what I've heard in that sort of like the deal. But what I'm disappointed in the fact that it's taken us 2 weeks or over 2 weeks and still nothing has happened. That's what I'm disappointed in. The fact that they've gone, this is all going tits up. What do we do? Nothing. Let's just stay in the background trying to work it out for 2 weeks. That's my problem. I wanted everybody to be going on the tour with the team, ready for the season. Like, I think is it 2 weeks till PSG, and I wanted us to be ready for that. So for me personally, I if it's not Daniel Levy that's in charge, I'm annoyed that Daniel Levy isn't on Vinay's case saying what's going on. Like, what is that? What is the problem here? Why have we done this? What's happened? We look like a laughing stock. You're in charge now. Like, explain yourself. Like that's for me the problem. Whether he's in charge or not, it's still happening. We're the only team that are called Spursy. We win a trophy and we're still Spursy. Like, it don't make sense.
No, I hear you, mate. I hear you. I like to, at this stage of the season, this stage of the preseason, when there's not a lot we can do anyway, right? As fans, we don't have much to do. Plus, there's so much time still left in the window, but so much time that's passed. You're at that kind of point of no return. And so if you're like I did yesterday, stupidly going out on a limb and taking the words of people that I know, but that I don't think they were not necessarily planning on me putting it out there as like a gospel truth statement. So to each their own. That's on me. But I feel like we're at the point where people are also possibly guilty of making giant sort of summaries of what will happen. I've seen 5 of them already in the chat. Nothing's going to change. Nothing ever changes. It's going to be a dog shit window. It's going to be same old. Levy's in charge. But I'm open-minded to wait until the end, although I totally get the frustration. I totally do. And I want to talk a little bit about Paratici and his absence, because I don't think anything about this window screams that he's around or involved, because it's all quiet. We don't get enough links for it to be a Paratici type window, and he should be involved right now. Before I get to that bit,
I think that's a myth. I think that's a complete myth. Some of the worst deals we've done in the last 10, 20 years have come from Paratici, let's be honest. Wasn't it like 25 million at Lamella for Brian Hill? Like let's be honest. All right, he did fantastic with the youth, and I'm well happy with that. But he hasn't really brought in anyone where you go, this is where we go. Yeah, we're definitely going in the right direction. Like
I hear you on the point about. I think you've for what it's worth. I actually disagree with the summation. The summation. I think you've cherry picked one of 3 or 4 bad deals, and there's probably 7 or 8 good deals. But the point I was sort of making was more around a window that's shaped by Paratici versus a window that's shaped by Lang. Look very different. Lang keeps his cards close to his chest, so we're left with very few scraps of transfer stories to talk about. And hi, John, by the way, good to see you, mate.
Big up, John.
So I wasn't making the point. I wasn't getting to the point yet around has Lang screwed up in terms of the target. It's more just around when I say that I don't think Paratici's like conducting this particular window. He's not the orchestra guy, not the tempo master. I just mean that if he was, we probably have 100 transfer links that we're hearing every day, and that he's doing his plate spinning thing, because that was the kind of path of the course 23-24 season and before that. Whereas under Lang, we're feeding off of the scraps, and it's very difficult for a guy like me, even a guy like me who can turn what could be summarized in about a paragraph. I turn it into like a 4 or 5 chapter verse because repeat the same thing 5 times a week. But it's been difficult. So I'm just saying that for me, Lang is sort of, I think he's leading the news reel would have you believe that Lang is the guy that's conducting this particular orchestra, if you know what I mean. Yeah. But in terms of the point I was making around, like, we're at that kind of hot point of no return around the window where I think it's too early to judge anything. It's always too early to judge anything. But those that are willing to judge early, well, the daggers are out for Daniel Levy, right? And yet those same people, and I'll call him out because I love him to pieces, but he's having a crack at me on WhatsApp already on a personal thing. Lubo, for example. When Tottenham were doing a double bomber in 48 hours, when Tottenham had signed Kudus and then we were about to get Morgan Gibbs White, I was getting tweets. I was having barmies with him on Savage Show, hearing him saying, look what happens. You hand over the reins you take the reins off of Daniel Levy and everything's moving along nicely. Everything changes immediately. And then as soon as the wheels fall off with the Morgan Gibbs White deal, all of a sudden, him and everybody like him are back going, nothing changed. Daniel Levy, the absolute git. And I have to ask you boys one at a time, like, are we a fan base here that just likes to have the hero and likes to have the villain, and everything good has to be filtered into the mind of a certain hero, and everything bad has to be filtered into one specific villain? Drew, I'll let you go for that first, mate.
Short answer, yes. Yeah, I mean, there are a certain section of any fan base or any crowd anywhere that will get a certain opinion of something and have a very hard time changing it. And I think Levy brings out that vibe in people. when you're constantly, I can understand it year on year, especially if you're, if you've been paying your money and you've been what you perceive to be the club not doing what you would like them to do, then you've got to blame somebody, and he's the easiest person to point the finger at. I mean, if Joe Lewis was in the stands every week, he would probably be the villain, but he's so far removed from the piece. And Levy, to his credit, will still go out there and still sit there and still watch 90 minutes of football, bad football most of the time last season, and get pelters and kind of, grit his teeth all the way through it. So, yes, you've got to have somebody. Is it fair that it should be him this time when, by all accounts, ever since he's been pictured saying we've won it and we want to go again, and we've been in that video saying, we want to win this, we want to win that, he's not really done the typical Daniel stuff that you would expect him to do. Like he would have been all over the Kudus deal, at least in some parts, saying, but he just seems to have been pushed sideways. I don't know how much the string pulling he's doing anymore with Carrington there. So it's really hard to say. The one thing that is just exceptionally frustrating, and it doesn't, I don't know who to put the blame at for this one really, but yet again, we've wasted time in the transfer window and we've had our pants pulled down, and a player that we thought was in the bag is signed for somebody else. And we seem to be the only, I don't want to say only team, but when you look at the likes of Liverpool just getting there, and I hate to look at a club that is run so well and compare us to them, because we got a lot of catching up to do if we ever want to be like them. But they seem to get their shit done so effortlessly, and they won't be made to look like mugs. And if things don't quite look like they're going right, they say okay, and they're done with the deal. They pull out. Then they go somewhere else. They get off the pot or they shit. And we seem to be the ones that are, I don't know, almost dangling our feet, waiting for our mum to come and wipe our ass. Yes, you need to have a villain. Yes, it's easy to point it at Levy. Do I necessarily think it's right this time round? I don't know. I don't know where to put the frustration at the moment.
James, I'll come to you now, mate, and I'll come to John for his intro. James, is it? Look, at the moment, for me, I don't think that you can really blame Thomas Frank. I think that he's not. I don't think it's him that's leading the charge, right? He's just wet behind the ears at Tottenham. So I'd imagine that he should be pushing a little bit harder. Maybe if he isn't pushing hard enough, maybe he's a little bit of a nice guy, and he's. But if I'm him, though, I'm like, the pressure is on me already. Like the Frank, the Ange inners have already turned on Thomas Frank, and it took them 3 preseason games before they've gone, you sacked our guy for this, So if I'm Thomas Frank, feeling a little bit let down, but I don't know, like Drew, I don't know who's running the show at Tottenham. What do you think it is, or who do you think it is?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who's running the show, to be honest. It's the same as everybody else. But what I do know is there have been people changing at the club, and the same thing continues to happen time and time again. And there is only one man that's continuously been at the club over and over again. So it's hard not to point your finger at Daniel Levy. If we're being brutally honest, we brought in Vinay, we've changed to Lange. Who's the other guy working with Vinay? There's another
Charrington.
Charrington. So all these guys are coming in, and yet we're still the joke of the Premier League. Like that has to. I know you guys don't don't blame him or think it's all him, but it has to point some fingers towards him. He can't be getting off this scot-free when it's continuously happening. It's like me driving down the motorway 100 mile an hour and me getting a ticket and going, Carl, I'll do that again. And then doing the same thing and the same thing and the same thing and going, yeah, but my car's fast. Like it doesn't make sense. And there's certain things for me that it's just not acceptable. And if he's not in charge right now, Vinay needs to be in the office, and he needs to be absolutely giving them lever and saying, listen, this ain't acceptable. Happens again, you're out. Like you're making a mockery of my club. And the one, I know you can't compare the two, but look at Liverpool. Now, you're not getting Isaac. Okay, bang, Ekatike, done. sorted. Tottenham, no, 2 weeks, drag on. It's just not good enough. And I know people say it like Brian and stuff, and I love Brian, but yeah, I don't blame him for blaming Levy, because if everything changes and he's still in charge and the same things continuously happen, you know, if all arrows are pointing to one man, he's not making it easy for himself. So it is what it is. And to be fair, me personally, I actually gave him credit for what he did under Andrew. I said, look, all I've ever asked him to do is back him with first team players. He bought Vicario, Udogie, Van der Ven, Maddison. I can't complain at him then. I'm like, fair play, you've done what I've asked you to do. And then, like we said before, Sean, I turned Levy out when we got to our Champions League final, and it was go. Now is when you kick on. And he dropped the ball. And for me, it's exactly the same as now. Now is the time where you go, right, we've just won the Europa League, back in the Champions League, go. Drop the ball. So far, we've dropped the ball. It's like, you can't keep doing that. Otherwise, look, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, they're spending 300 million pluses. The top four is over.
Yeah, it is.
Like, and it didn't need to be. For me, it didn't need to be. Someone like Gibbs White, and it's not over yet, obviously. I'm just judging what I've seen. But Morgan Gibbs White, Paulinho, we could have got on loan, a top-class left winger. And I think, okay, you're knocking on a door. And it still might happen, but I've got no faith in Daniel Levy or the club anymore.
Fair enough. John, welcome to the show, mate. Hope you're okay. I'm going to throw you a slightly different question, but it's on the same tangent, mate, if that's okay.
Yeah.
When it comes to our ambitions in the transfer market, I know that it's very easy right now to say what ambitions, right? What ambitions, really? Like Morgan Gibbs White, we wasted 2 weeks, and I completely concur. I empathise with everyone that feels that way. As I say, personally, I'm on the back of a proper mudding from yesterday's debacle, but so I feel like my future is like indelibly linked to Morgan Gibbs White. I hope that guy fails hard, really, because he's mudded me. But you look at like Newcastle United. Like, forget about the big four. Look at the other teams that are around us in that second pack of four. United, Villa and Newcastle and Tottenham, right? Probably 4th to 8th or 5th to 8th. So you've got Villa that are on the receiving end of having to pay the piper, right? They overspent for the last 3 years. They could do it in the Premier League, but not in the Euro, not in UEFA. And if it wasn't for a poor refereeing decision, rightly or wrongly, people will say, well, the league's decided over 38 games, not one game. But generally speaking, I think it's probably fair to say that they were robbed of something on the final day. But ultimately, they're also paying the piper now because of their overspend before, and they got the slap on the wrist. And so if you're an Aston Villa fan and you're looking at their inactivity, then at least you can point to two extenuating circumstances outside of the ambition of the owners as to why they have to handle and deal with the reality in which they now face. You look at Newcastle, and they, despite having the wealthiest owners in the game, they have essentially abided by most of the laws, right? They're pretty tight-knit on that stuff and not trying to cheat like Chelsea do or whatever else. But what they're doing is what a lot of Tottenham fans would have wanted us to do, which is reach for the stars and land on the sky. But unfortunately, Newcastle haven't landed on anything yet. They've landed on Elanga, and he's not even a good fit for their model, in my opinion, in my personal opinion. So if Tottenham are somewhere in between, right? They're like, here's the question. I'm sorry, there's a roundabout way of asking the question. If Tottenham were to show more ambition but land nowhere, would that be more satisfying than what we're currently seeing, which is landing somewhere but still not getting it over the line? Or do you think showing ambition but getting nowhere would just be another double-edged sword that would lead more people to say that, you know what, why couldn't you get Isak? Why couldn't you get Sesko? Why couldn't you get whoever, Rafael Leao, or Eberechi Chieze? Is the fact that we're not even having a go the problem in most fans' eyes? Or is it the fact that, or if we did have a go but failed like Newcastle have done, because Newcastle fans are equally furious with their own kind of situation as well, despite having a go, they've got nowhere near. So where, like, how do you think the kind of psychology of the fans and the expectations plays into this kind of shit show right now?
I think that part of the thing is, since Langer particularly came in, we have shut the doors down, haven't we? there's not been so much information coming out apart from Morgan's Gibbs White, where Sean, you weren't the only one who was sold down Mud Row on that, because loads of people were convinced. I was told from a friend who knows someone who works at Forest that a week ago or so ago, that he was convinced it was going to happen.
Right.
This was coming from all angles. I think if I can just cover on that quickly, it would seem to be that Marinakis is very much probably, there's a couple of options. Either the agent's trying to do a deal, he's trying to push up the price of the contract, because all year they've been refusing to deal with Forest on the contract renewal. So they've used Spurs to get that. Or probably more likely, knowing what Marinakis seems to be like, he's gone, if you don't sign, I'm going for both the agent and the player for breach of contract for this confidentiality. That would be the simple term. I guess
So
only time will tell if Gibbs White stays there or not. As far as the fans go, it's difficult because, like I say, it's really quiet. We've not been linked with anyone really, have we, since the Gibbs White and Kudos? When was that? 15, 17 days ago now? It's been so quiet. You can't tell me nothing is happening. Something's got to be happening in the background, and we've kept it quiet. Now, obviously, we're not quite sure what's happening. Paratici's ban's now over, but nothing official has come out. We know he's been working as a consultant for the club. Now, Paratici does leak to Di Marzio and Romano. That's just a fairly well-known fact, and I've been told that from someone who knows people within the board as well. So that's where the Gibbs White thing probably came out from in the first place. And obviously, if anyone's in the mud more than anybody, it's definitely Romano. Sean, you're above the surface. He's sunk. He's gone.
Yeah, but I'm more accessible. I'm the easy one to punch, right? Because
I think he's had a lot of grief, to be fair, but he earns enough money, so it doesn't really matter for him, does it?
True.
But if you go back to, James mentioned after the Champions League, we did spend big. We just spent big badly. And I know Johnny always goes about that was Hitchin, but from my understanding, those players, particularly Ndombele and Lo Celso, were ones that Poch wanted. So he did get back. The problem with that was it was the windows before where we hadn't spent anything because we were trying to get our finances in a position to get the best loan for the stadium and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to keep rejuvenating the squad and regenerating the squad and replacing players. We were linked with Grealish, obviously, and everyone's like, where's he going to play? But you've got to bring fresh blood in who can improve, maybe not straight into the first team, but continuously. So you have got that cycling moment. But if you tell me we get to September the 2nd or whenever the window shuts and we've only bought in Kudos and Takai and a couple of other youngsters, then we're all going to be gunning for Levy and everyone else. The reason Levy gets all the grief is because he's been there for 24 years. Yeah. So, and some of it's justifiable and some of it he's done some good job. Some of his stuff he's done has been very good, but his footballing decisions over the years haven't been very good as a general. We know that. And the point is he's brought in his mate Vinay, who's supposed to be a football man. He tried bringing Scott Munn in, that epically failed. He's brought in Langer, he's brought in Paratici. He's tried lots of different people. So,
do you think though do you guys think the Paratici model bought Levy more flowers because there was always something percolating? There's always something that we had the plate spinning thing, the ball juggling thing. It gave us things to chew over, right? Like, I think you're absolutely right, John, right? I think like the idea that in the last 2 weeks we've just been sitting there waiting for a decision, and then, oh wait, now he's going to sign the new contract. Like, if the people at Tottenham Hotspur, between Vinay, between Lang, between the scouts, between Paratici, Levy, anybody else, if they sat there and were like, no, tools down, we're going to wait and see what happens with Gibbs White before we pick the tools up again and start looking. If that's really what's going on, then it's just a disgrace. And I just can't believe that anyone would operate that way, would have built their business to the level that our business has become of a value proposition. So I don't believe it. But the fact that there's no stories because Lang keeps these things close to his chest, and it's nothing, something, and then all of a sudden it's done, even though Gibbs White obviously wasn't done in the end. But that seems to be the tail of the tape. So my question to you guys is, does Daniel Levy bring more heat on himself by the method in which Lang goes about his business versus under Paratici? I feel like Levy had less actual brownie points to hang on to, but got a little bit less heat because there was always something during the windows for us to chew over every day. There was something else that was getting close and yada, yada, yada. Right now, we have nothing to feast on. And so the absence of food makes you hungry. And when you're hungry, you're angry. And that's when you point back to the boss and say, what the hell's going on? Would it be better if Daniel Levy was to turn around and say to Lang, put some stories out? If it is Levy that's still calling the shots, or if it's Vinay. But like,
I mean,
have something to feed on is what I'm asking.
Well, the one thing I would say about that is that up until not even, I guess maybe 24 hours at this point. Up until this point, 24 hours ago, we were all pretty much convinced that Morgan Gibbs White was coming. So are we just saying that in the last 24 hours, we expected to have more noise out of the club promoting potentially getting other players because this one fell through? Because if even they thought right up until then that Morgan Gibbs White was pretty much over the line and they've been hoodwinked as much as we have, then you can't really blame them for putting out stories about other players, especially in that position. If you thought that Morgan Gibbs White was over the line, like, kind of what's the point? We've heard about Polinia possibly being loaned, so that is another story. We've heard potentially Adam Wharton, although I don't know how much of that you would believe. We've been doing a merry dance with Eze for God knows how long. So it's not like things haven't been brewing. But again, if you genuinely think that your number one target was about as close as it could be, then you're not going to murmur about other player. You're going to kind of get that one done and then move on to the next. So I would like to think that, especially with it being Sunday now, they're probably not going to have got anything at least released or worked on that they didn't already have working on last week. So I guess probably, I don't know, it's kind of a flaking on the... I would expect that in the next 24 to 48 hours, there would absolutely have to be some movement. Otherwise, this looks infinitely worse than it looks already.
Yeah. I agree with you.
And just in answer to your question, just about the sort of Newcastle, actually, do you know what? My brain's gone. Carry on. I was about to answer a question that I've now forgotten.
For me,
what I was saying about Newcastle was just the fact that they punch high. They're punching high.
That's right.
They're not landing on anything.
Yeah. So everybody, I think, in this, John, James, yourself, people in the chat, the one thing that you can say, and I think probably would be something that a lot of people would suggest, is at least they are having a go. Yes, they're being turned down, but at least they're saying, or at least they're dusting themselves down and saying, all right, well, at least let's go for somebody else. Let's go for somebody else. And I don't know, to be honest with you, Sean, whether being kicked and carrying on again in the public looks any... I don't know whether that looks good for them, because...
I don't think it looks good, mate. But what I definitely think would happen if it was Tottenham that was doing it, I think that the people that would always have a problem, the people that always want to moan, of which I'd say 50% of the fan base are within that, at least on the online space. I think if we go after an Ekitike and we end up losing him to Liverpool, and then we go after someone else, and we go after someone else, I think every time you lose one, you have a double whammy effect. First of all, you have the people that want to moan will say, you failed again. You failed, not like well done for giving it a go. It will be you failed again. The people that say now, let's at least have a go, they don't really mean that. What they really mean is sign somebody that's good enough for our level, thinking that we can go and get these people up here because they don't understand the pecking order of politics. But if you have a go, then they can't use the at least have a go argument. Then they'll say, you tried and failed, you don't have the draw, Levy out. Someone else could do a better job. And more than that, but I think there's a double negative, which is, and I think it's happening to Newcastle to a degree, which is every time a big player says no, that's out there. The reputation is out there. And the next player goes, I don't want to go there. No one else does. Why do I want to go there? And that, to me, I think is all. And then that also compiles in itself. I think that probably some people in the fan base, in the Tottenham sort of board room level, are probably at the point where they're like, who gives a about the percentage of the fan base that moan anyway. We just won a trophy and they're back on the Levy outbound. These guys just they don't get it, they don't understand it, and they will never be happy because unless we're winning the league, it's not good enough. And consequently, they probably like, why should we pander to them? Why should we even care about what these people's feelings are? Because whatever we do, whatever we're not doing now, if we start doing, they'll moan about something else. And I think there's a merit to that argument personally. I think that whilst I don't agree with what the board are doing, I don't think they should start pandering to the always unhappy part of the fan base. Sorry, James, I want you to come in there, mate. Yeah.
No club should be pandering down to the fan base, but they need to start acting like a club. Like we're using Newcastle as an example. But for me, Newcastle's squad are levels above ours to start with. So if they lose out on a couple and bring in a couple, they're still above us. And that is, for me, the concern. And we need to not only catch them, we also then need to overtake them. And that's the biggest worry for me, because so far, I mean, I know it's only pre-season friendly and people will jump on that bandwagon, but we should be sticking 3 or 4 past Luton. And we should be sticking 3 or 4 past Wickham. We should be this should be the point where we go, look at our players, the youth, look, they're better than League One opponents. These should be the games where you go, yeah, fair enough. It's just highlighting it more and more and more how bad our squad is, for me. And that, again, it's impossible to say because we keep saying sort of like the Levy out people, but Daniel Levy's proving them all right at this moment. But for me, if I took all of that stick towards the end of last season, the one thing for certain I would have done, I'd have sat my ball down and go, what's the plan? We cannot fuck this up this time. What's the plan? And they would have gone, right, X, Y, Z, right, Thomas Frank's the new coach. Right, Frank, what's the plan? Who do you want? Who do you need? I want Kudos, Gibbs White, Paulinho. Okay, what happens if we can't get Gibbs White? Well, then I'll accept a Harvey Elliott. Okay, perfect. Plan is go. Go, 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 go. It hasn't. We're going on our pre-season tour tomorrow or Tuesday, whenever it is, and we've got one player added to our squad that's just nowhere near good enough, in my opinion. So for me personally, it's one of those things where Levy deserves it. If you're not prepared to stand up and make the changes, you're just going to kind of cruise through it again and ignore everybody and not step up to the plate, then you deserve what's going to come to you, because eventually they are going to catch up with you. Like I said, we're miles behind, for me, squad-wise, the Aston Villas, the Newcastles, as we stand. If they do bring in a couple of players, we're even further behind.
Do you, John? Do you subscribe to the notion that? So after this, take on a pause and do some super chats just quickly, and then I'm going to move on to what's actually going on with regards maybe some alternatives, and also talk about the pre-season as well. But John, do you subscribe? I mean, James said there that Newcastle's squad is levels above us. I think it'd be difficult to argue that their first team isn't better than our first team as it stands. But I'm not sure if their squad. I think they've got a fairly steep drop off.
Really? I'm surprised. I mean, it might be me, but I'm surprised because their 3 midfielders are all better than us, in my opinion, all of them. I think Isak's better than ours. I think Gordon's better than ours.
Gimaresh, Jarlinton and Tonali.
Yeah, I'll take all 3 of those.
Yeah, I agree.
Isaac up front. Isaac. We don't know what he's doing, but he's still there at the moment. So
yeah, their first 11. I agree with you.
Sorry. Yeah, that's what I'm on about. Yeah, sorry.
But this is the thing. But they, rather than them just improving at the same level and then just adding to their depth, what they're trying to do is bring in better players and then relegate like the Jacob Ramsey's. Who's the guy?
Yeah, Murphy.
Sorry, Murphy.
Yeah, but they've still got. But even then, they've got Murphy, Harvey Barnes. Like, I'd take all of those over Brennan Johnson. Like so if we're going sort of man for man and then kind of cutting down, for me, how I see us finishing above Newcastle is if Frank is a miracle worker. That's the only way I see it happening as things stand. And this is where I don't get what Daniel Levy or Vinay is doing, because they should have had their plan set up. Look, we cannot have that again. We had thousands of people outside the stadium calling us out. This cannot. Let's try to get back on our side, and we haven't. He hasn't. Yeah. He hasn't closed that gap for me.
I hear you on that, John. Do you think that? Well, I think the original question was, is the method that we're using encouraging the hatred against Daniel Levy, or are the fan base just perennially, always looking for the next reason? Whatever we're not doing now, they'll just punch into that particular hole. But if that hole was filled, they'll punch in it to a different level, because there's an expectation with certain parts of the fan base that we should be at the same level as Liverpool.
I think whatever happens,
we're so far away from them that's just not good enough. So it doesn't matter what we do, then therefore there'll be something else to moan about.
Whatever happens, people are going to moan. We could be top of the league in the Champions League final, signing players. There will always be fans who moan, whatever happens. At the moment, it does feel like we're lagging behind because all the other clubs are signing players. They're getting further and further away from us. The trouble is we're hamstrung because Frank's coming in. He needs to look at the squad. He's obviously got a good understanding of the squad, but until you see them in training day after day, he needs to decide which players he wants to keep and will fit into the system that he's going to play. We know he likes to adapt different systems, but it's pretty clear he wants to play this 4-2-3-1 with the back four becoming a 3 when in possession. That's been quite clear from the 3 games we've seen. But it's very slow at the moment, and James is right. Going on tour with only one first team. I know Takai's obviously got a bit of an injury, hasn't he? Which is why we haven't seen him. But
did he arrive injured, or has he been injured just within?
Yeah, he arrived. No, he arrived. Ali Gold said he arrived injured.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah, and as Eugene said in the chat there, if we're lagging behind yet again, and it's not the first time. It's an age-old story for us, and it's just frustrating. I'm gonna have to shoot off for a second. Oh, no, Sean's gone.
He's done a Johnny. He's pulled.
Sorry,
in.
I've got my wife.
Where's Johnny?
Oh, he's coming back. I'm gonna have to shoot off for a second, boys.
No worries, Johnny. Yeah, no worries, mate. I appreciate
Brilliant.
you.
All right, mate. No worries.
I think
the thing for me is he back? What's he doing? Is he back? Here he is. What's he doing? What are we doing here?
Well, this is what happens. I've only got the song for Johnny, but this is essentially what it is.
Yeah.
And he's gone. And he's gone.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Let me just sorry. Go on, Joe. You want to say something?
Well, no. I was just saying the more I think about yesterday, and the more you listen to Frank after the game, it was really just about getting fitness in legs, and I would like to think you're going to get more of a first team kind of squad rotation idea of what he wants when we actually get out on tour. But yeah, that was just my take from yesterday. Just because the split on the teams was, to me, I figured if it was really to get a look at people, you would have had maybe kind of your 15 to 18 players that you knew were pretty much, you had your checks by, and you had a team of players that you were really kind of trying to look over. And that's not really how they split it up. And then when you hear him afterwards talking about just getting, minutes in legs, I think, and you look at then the team or the players that are going out on tour, the list of players that they released, I would like to think that the next couple of games, you're going to get more of an idea of how he wants to play football.
Do you know what? I've just got to quickly, sorry, 1 second, James. I've just got to quickly do some super chats. I want to ask you boys, when I met Chris yesterday, Chris Cowlin, he said I was having a chat with him, and he said to me, did you hear or see that short that was put around? It wasn't part of any press conference, but it was a short that was clipped up by somebody and put around, and it was an unofficial comment from Thomas Frank regarding his ambitions for the year. If you haven't seen it, I haven't got it, but I'm going to paraphrase what Chris said to me. Again, if this isn't true, I'm going to be in the mud, but I'm going to basically say what Chris Cowlin, I'm going to give you the source.
Listen, stop trying to deflect. Come on, spit it out.
I'm going to say, but let me just do the super chats first, because it was wild. When I heard it, I went, are you serious? That was out there. I said, I haven't seen that. He said, no, 100% is out there. I said, well, I didn't see that on any of the comments, any of the press conferences. And he said, no, it wasn't involved in any of them. If someone clipped something and it got sent around separately, but I haven't seen it. I'm going to go on his word. But before we get to that, let me just get some super chats for you guys. Appreciate you very much, Blaine. Good to see you, mate. Can't have MGW but can have more Spurs Talk Show members. Big up, lads. We really appreciate you, mate. And he followed up with that he gifted 5 Spurs Talk Show members. Appreciate you, Blaine, mate. Listen, I've had a tough 24 hours, bro. Tough 24 hours. It wasn't just the mudding that came from that particular take. It was, someone said to me, how are you so on board this the Harvey Elliott train? Do you not remember what he did to Harry Kane? And I was like, no, I don't remember. What's he done? And then someone sent me the clip of Harvey Elliott, and it was Harvey Elliott calling Harry Kane a mong or whatever, and mocking his speaking voice. So I retweeted that and went, "Oh, I had never seen this before. Might have to rethink my alternatives to MGW." And the comments not even on that one going, "Butler, you absolute disgrace. The guy was 15 years old when he did that." I didn't know that either. I'm getting mugged by my own ignorance here. I'm saying things I need someone to like proofread my tweets before I put them out, because
you check them sources, Butler.
But I appreciate you very much, Blaine, and anybody that was a recipient of those memberships, please do say thank you very much to Blaine. You're a legend, Blaine. Love you, man. Gonna get you back on the show this week if you're around, buddy. Paul Markey's also come in. Big up to you, Paul. Great to see you, mate. First thing to do is sack that incompetent Lang. He's responsible for the Gibbs White debacle and has contributed nothing since his arrival. Wow, that's controversial. I think he was responsible for Berghvall. There's been a revelation, I think. He's who else did he sign? He didn't sign Gibbs White. Sorry, he signed Kudus. He didn't sign Johnson, did he? That was a Paratici thing.
What about Van der Ven?
He did Van der Ven, I think.
Did Van der Ven?
Maddison.
And Maddison. I think Lang's done fairly well so far. If I'm entirely
I think Lang's done better.
Archie Gray.
I think Lang just done better than Paratici.
Vescovic. Big up Alan M in the chat.
You got Vescovic?
I think Lang is good for the youngsters, isn't he?
Yeah.
Which is part of the Levy model, basically. Bring him in young for cheap. A bit like the message Blaine sent us earlier, 10 years ago. We were trying to sign Sane, he played like 14 Bundesliga games for £8.5 million. And we got rejected. A year later, he went to City for £37 million or something.
Yeah. So they're either good for young or last minute, right? But they're not good for like the here and now. We're going to get to the end of the window, and Paratici's going to fucking shit out Vlahovic and Douglas Luiz from.
But
do you know what I mean? That'll be it.
Right? So, like, do you not think though, Drew, that you talk about like Newcastle United that have like we talk about them sort of reaching for the stars, landing on nothing. Every time that they go, oh, we've lost out on him, let's go for the next guy. Lost out on him, let's go for the next guy. Doesn't that also then demonstrate that they're now just going for anybody? Like after you've missed out on 5 targets, you're no longer picking players that are the right fit for your system. You're just trying.
Well, I guess that depends, right? That depends on your reaction to said player, right? If you're like, well, I can see that they were just unlucky, and then they go for the next guy, and you go, well, I can see that because he's not quite as good as that guy, but I get where they're going, and then they go right to left field, and you go, hang on a minute, well, that seems like a bit of a scattergun.
How many people have like 8 alternatives that are still of the same? After a while, especially if all of them are at that caliber, where you're just searching around for the like, you basically got up transfer market and you've typed in top strikers in the world, and then just working your way down the list, going which one of them is attainable. And now you're currently at Sesko. After Sesko, it will be Dusan Vlahovic or Ollie Watkins. After that, it will be, and after a while, you're kind of going, well, now you're just working your way through the list rather than actually finding a player that suits your system. It's not like it doesn't appear like Newcastle are going out finding a player that's maybe 30 million quid, but happens to fit the certain system. Instead, they're just looking like they're just running down the list of possible.
I feel like that says more about the structure of the Premier League and how desperate people are to achieve certain things, right? I think you've got the top. Maybe you got Liverpool and possibly Man City fishing in one pond. There maybe that lot up the road. Then you've got, another group of clubs. I would essentially even maybe say the top 6 kind of vying for a similar set of players and basically just waiting for one to move so the other one can move, so the other one can move. And then you've got the likes of your Brightons and your Bournemouths, who are very much on the Brentfords as well, who are very much in that kind of scouting model that find the gems that then the top 6 clubs tend to pick and feed off of. So I think it says a lot more about the structure of English football than anything else. And I think maybe I get where you're coming from. I completely understand going for somebody and continually, essentially continuously getting rejected. Like, nobody likes getting rejected. So from the outside looking in, there is very much that, look at them again, they got rejected. Look at us, where maybe it's better for us to be a little bit cloak and dagger, because God forbid everybody out there would start laughing at us because we're continuously getting rejected. I think we have a benefit that we're in London and we're perceived to be, in a better position than a Newcastle potentially geographically. And it can be as simple as that sometimes, right? Maybe the missus would rather go to, Selfridges and would rather go to Fortnum and Mason and Piccadilly and all those places, Regent Street, than they would anywhere in Newcastle.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. Greg's the Bakers. Like, it can be as simple as that sometimes. I don't know. It's really difficult.
I kind of disagree with that. And the only reason I disagree with that is when you're throwing around tens of millions on houses and properties, you're going to be going into that sort of lifestyle regardless. So they're not going to be much difference, in my opinion. Like, there's certain parts of Manchester that are just unbelievable. So they're not going to be shopping in the same places as we are. Do you know what I mean? So
fair play.
Within reason, I get it. They would rather live in London, but I think when they're shown around the properties of Manchester and Manchester as an area, they're not going to go, "God, this is a dive." Like, they're not going to be in the same areas as majority of the people.
I think I'd be really interested if Tottenham and Newcastle were to go toe to toe with no other distractions for a certain player. Like, both teams are putting bids. Both teams want Visser, for example, right? Who it is that he's going to pick and for what reasons. Is it money? Who pays them more? Or is it something else? I don't know the answer. I had this conversation on the Spurs Talk Show back in like January or February. I said, I think that right now, Mark Gahey, if I'm Mark Gahey and I'm not a Tottenham fan, I'd probably choose the Newcastle project. But that was before Tottenham were in the Champions League. It was before Tottenham had won the Europa League. And it was before Tottenham, apparently were moving into a new financial paradigm. So I'd like to see all things on the table, all cards on the table, how people would... Let me know in the chat. If you're a neutral, would you pick the Newcastle project right now or the Tottenham project?
I think it depends as well, doesn't it? If Isaac stays and they get Sesko on top of Isaac with Gordon, they're looking a proper team.
Yeah, but I don't think Sesko goes to Newcastle to play the 9.
No, maybe not. But we can only judge on what we've seen at the minute. And at the minute, they're being linked with the likes of Sesko's, and we ain't. Totally personal terms are agreed, and we ain't. We can't do it for Morgan Gibbs White. Like, let's be honest. If Morgan Gibbs White desperately wanted to come to us, he'd have said, "I ain't signing nothing. Here's my transfer request. I'm out of here." He didn't. Whereas they're going, Sesko, what do you want? Here you go. Personal terms agreed. So
I hear you. Guys, just so you know, we're going to do some more super chats, then we're going to come round to John and get some more takes. But just if you are keeping an eye on it, there's 118 and a half minutes by my watch on the clock for the England ladies team. I think they're just playing out for the penalties now. It doesn't feel like anyone's going for it in the last few minutes. So we shall see in the final. Not that I've got no real cares about that. No disrespect, but it's just not my thing. Just like basketball isn't, or baseball or anything else. Paul Lasky says, big up to you, Paul. Only Tottenham could have a Spursy summer transfer spree. Why are any of us surprised anymore? So much for the cash injection. Well, yeah, I mean, the cash injection. Yeah, I mean, I think everyone was doubling down on that idea. As soon as we're getting a double bomber in 2 days, everyone was making, it has to be this, it has to be that. And then now that's all gone quiet. I don't think it changes anything, to be honest. I think that the fact that we had that 60 million in escrow, the fact that we had 70 million for Gahey in January on the last day, I think that the money's still there. I just think that we need to sort of get off our hands. And I think that the club also needs to factor in that, this one in, one out because the squad registration things full up doesn't seem to stop Chelsea. So why should it stop anybody else? There's ways and means. Daniel Phil with the super sticker. Chew, Daniel. Good to see you, mate. Appreciate you very much. Thank you very much, buddy. Eugene, remember for 8 months, looking for bargains again. Things don't change. Wow, everybody's on the same chain. Everybody's on the misery train today, aren't they? But appreciate you, Eugene. Daniel Fields. Oh, we're back to Clapham Junction again. Clapham Junction. That is Daniel Field. We appreciate you, Daniel. Thank you very much indeed. Super sticker from him. And another one. All the trains are leaving Clapham Junction tonight. If you guys want to participate in the super sticker train, you know what to do. Follow Daniel Fields' lead, and we're picking you up from wherever you are in the world. Guys, I wanted to ask you a little bit about the tour. First game is it Newcastle, John?
No, it's Arsenal on Thursday, lunchtime.
Arsenal on Thursday lunchtime. How are you feeling about Arsenal on Thursday lunchtime, Johnny boy?
I think it's the first time we've ever played Arsenal outside the UK. Number 1 point, which is a bit random. I just go back to it's pre-season. Don't get too stressed. Whatever happens, 2008 we won 7, drew 1, including beating Roma 5-0, final 3-0 in their own backyard, and then we had 2 points after 8 games. So you can't get too het up. It's about minutes in legs. It's about trying to set, Frank's coming in to set a new system up. It's not going to happen overnight. We're going to, at the start of the season, we're not going to probably have what we did under Ange. That was a bit of a freak anomaly, wasn't it? It's going to take time, and especially when we've only got one new player effectively in the squad, on the travelling squad that we've been sent tonight.
Yeah. John, let me stay with you now.
Are we underestimating how much time and eyes Frank actually wants to get on this group of players before he really starts, throwing 60, 80, 100 mil on a couple of players that actually, when all's said and done, if we end up, I know you have to build the squad. I know that, but there's every chance that in the next 2-3 games, it gives him more chance to go, do you know what? Actually, it's like you've been saying, Sean, do we really need to? It might end up being a blessing in disguise. If we really need Morgan Gibbs White, when all's said and done, could we actually, take a step back, see where maybe we actually really need something in more of the left back side of things? Maybe there's been a discussion. Maybe Sonny is actually going. If he does go, do you know what? Actually, do we need to get a beast on that side? Because now we've got Kudus on the other side, So
let me ask you this, all of you, Drew. I'll start with you, mate. Just real quick. Right now, where is this squad in your mind capable of finishing with a better managed squad, a better managed, disciplined, organised outfit? And this is leading to the Chris Cowlin comments that I forgot to get to. Where the best version with an injury, a traditional injury roster, like you get a few here and there, but nothing like this catastrophic. What is this particular squad right now capable of achieving this year?
I think Mr. Ems has said it's 6th to 8th.
Okay, you agree?
I mean, I'm inclined to, given how diabolical it was last year, given that it's been all pivot, no patience, as I like to say. If he's turned around to, I was going to preempt what Frank might have said or what Cowlin was going to come out with and say that actually it's going to be a bit mediocre. And if we can get maybe a top half finish, then that's actually an achievement given that it was 17th last year. I mean, I was hoping he was going to say something like, achieving Europe again, but I really think the word stability is going to come up, and it's going to be very much like mid-table stability or something horrible to hear like that. But yeah, I'd go for somewhere between 9th and 11th, really.
Okay. James, just out of curiosity, where would you take, what do you think the squad is capable of right now? If everyone finished where they are, what is Tottenham capable of this season?
8th to 15th.
That's what sort of spread is that, mate? What are we doing here? Give it a little bit
What we
time.
doing here?
Because we're one injury away from kudos for me from having a championship front three. So kudos gets injured. I'm thinking 12th, 13th, 14th.
Okay. So you're saying it's really that
No,
bad?
that's actually a very valid point.
It is a valid point. When I ask, like, you know, what are we capable of, and someone says somewhere between 5th and 18th, you're basically like you're baking in a decent spread there, mate.
Calling
No, I'm not going to be wrong. I'm not going to be wrong, though, am I?
No, you're not. You're fine. Exactly. I'm not going to tolerate it.
I'm
Okay,
avoiding this mud.
So here's the thing, right? So Chris said to me that I don't know if anyone saw this particular clip, but Chris said to me that in a clip that was sent around, but it was a private moment, a private interaction between a journalist and Thomas Frank, that the journalist said the odds on Tottenham winning the league are 66-1. How do you feel about that? And
That's
Thomas
sure.
Frank apparently turned around and said back, what does that mean? Where do you think that puts us? And the journalist said, well, on that basis, you're about 7th to win the league, 7th place finish. And Thomas Frank said, I'll take that. I'll take 7th. And I hadn't seen it, and I can't verify it. This is what Chris said to me. I don't know if John, you said you've seen it, right? Is that true?
No.
Oh, okay, so that's what I heard, right? That's what Chris said to me, that's what he's seen, is a clip with a journalist saying you're 66-1 to win the league. And Thomas Frank said, what does that mean to you? And he said, you're about 7th. And Thomas Frank said, I'll take that. And on that point, I went, are you having a laugh, Chris? And he went, no. I was like, what is that? You'll take
What are we doing
7th.
here? Yeah.
You'll take 7th versus the previous guy who said, I always win something in my second year. He had the stones to say, he said a lot of other things that he didn't mention again. But the one thing that he did mention a few times, he had the stones to at least have a crack. And this goes back to like Newcastle United reaching for the stars, landing on the sky, Tottenham Hotspur barely punching down essentially. It might be realistic. It might be realistic, guys, as he was walking out. So people have seen that, have they? People have seen that. Okay, so he was saying that as he was walking out. But like, I'll take 7th. Is that what you want to hear from a new manager?
Right. The last guy promised the moon, and guess what we got? Didn't get the sky. We got the fucking moon.
What, the moon?
Whether you like him or not, he gave us optimism until there was none. But like, at least he came in and was like, I want to win things. I want to do things. And like, to be fair, like, what did Thomas Frank is a very, very laid back. I don't want to say pragmatic because I think that does him a gross disservice. But like, what did you expect? Like, he doesn't have that super charismatic. Like, for me, I don't even think he, like, with all due respect, I'm not even sure he's top 20 manager in Europe. But this is who we've gone with. What did we expect?
Tottenham Hotspur have finished above 7th, if I'm not wrong, in 14 of the last 18 seasons. We are not a top 7 team. We're traditionally, in the last 15, 18 years, we are a top 5 team. 6th, 5th, 4th, whatever, somewhere around there. Have a manager say, I'll take 7th right now.
I don't know what you expected.
That's not really what I want to hear from a new manager. It's not what
I look at that 2 ways. One, we've all just said that we think we're going to finish below top 7th, and now we're going to criticise him for saying that he'll be happy with 7th when we all think that our squad is below 7th. So he's actually, he said he would take a higher estimate than we thought. All right, fair enough. He should be saying, I want to get even higher. But also, I like the fact that he's not blowing smoke up everyone's arse and going, yeah, this is all fantastic. Because at the end of the day, it's not. Bissouma isn't good enough. He should be sold. Bentancur's got a lot to prove. Gray isn't ready. Like, if we look at our squad, I mean, for me, our front three, Tel's nowhere near ready. Johnson's not good enough. Richarlison and Solanke are not good enough. So is he meant to just come out and go, yeah, we're fantastic? Those so-called middle of the ground teams are catching up quickly. And the teams at the top
are
James, pulling away.
just in the comments. If I haven't seen the clip, right? So don't tell don't make me. I'm not trying to misinform. I've just been told what was said, and I'm just repeating what Chris said to me. So I don't know. I haven't seen the clip. So let me know the context that was there. Let me know if I'm missing it. But I don't necessarily want a manager to set expectations that are unrealistic to get everybody jumped up. Like when Ange said, we expect a title challenge in the second season or whatever. That was obviously ludicrous. But I don't necessarily want him also to be saying, I'll take 7th. I'll take 7th. If that's what
I get what you're saying.
7th, that to me is like, well, there's no ambition there.
But would you take 7th as of right now, our squad?
No.
I would. I'll bite your arm off.
7th. What is 7th? 7th is a boring season.
No, I know. But look at our squad. We have to be realistic. Our squad is
the window to improve. So my extension of the argument is the reason why we're not pushing for more players is because Thomas Frank is like, a couple more players and we'll finish above Fulham and West Ham and Wolves and Brighton.
Yeah, but that's where context comes into it. Yeah, but that's what context comes into it, though, doesn't it? At the moment, if I'm judging by our squad right now, if we get 7th, I think Frank's had a fantastic season with what we've got. I can't see where goals are coming from. I can't see any defensive midfielders. I can't see any of it. Udogie, people rave about the guy. The guy's never fit. Never. He's injured again. Yeah. I cannot see. Maybe I'm negative. I don't know. But somebody fill me with a bit of confidence of where any of this is coming from. Because I can't see any at the moment. It is still early in the transfer window, and I get that. But as of right now, if Frank got 7th with this group of players, I think he's done a fantastic job.
And it's all stepping stones as well, isn't it? It's all stepping stones to next season and the season after. You can't expect him to get us top 4 straight away, especially as James says, there's a lot of work to be done on this squad. This squad's missing players. It's missing. I mean, we did score goals last season. That goal scoring wasn't really our problem. Our problem was having Fitz, our best 2 centre-backs on the pitch, because they missed a lot of football last season because he was trying to protect them. But I think all of us generally, and correct me if I'm wrong, think we won't have anywhere near as many injuries this season under Frank as we did under Ange the last 2 seasons. So hopefully, I know we've got Champions League, which is going to be tough, and he's going to have to manage the squad as well around that. But I think we should have a stronger squad generally. But as I said, 6th to 8th is probably realistic, unless we do bring a couple of absolute worldies in. But
when you think if 5th and 6th were Newcastle and Aston Villa, that puts us just behind them. I don't think we're good enough to catch Villa or Newcastle this season. Even with a couple of players, they've got to be top players to catch those, which is 7th.
The only thing I'd say, James, is remember last time Newcastle were in the Champions League, they had a nightmare, didn't they?
Yeah,
so it could happen.
Of course. Yeah, I'm not saying it can't, but that's where I'm saying top 7 for me. If he gets top 7, it means we're just behind Newcastle, Villa, and the big top 4. There's still going to be teams like United you'd expect to come back. I don't think they'll be up there, but they've improved their whole front line. So for me, if we're going off where we are right now, I would bite your arm off for top 7.
Yeah, look, if we end up in if we end up in 7th place, I won't necessarily be disappointed. It's a massive improvement, but then you can't do much worse than what we've already done last season in terms of the league position. So I don't think it's necessarily a disgrace. I just don't want to hear it from the. It's like when I was a sales manager and I hear someone going, "Look, mate, your target for the month is $10,000 of sales. Obviously, minimum expectation is 7. What can I expect from you? 7.2, 7.3. I don't really want to hear that. I want to hear that you're really going for 10 and you actually got an outside chance of 15. But like, you're not inspiring me here. And this is first couple of press conferences, and I'm hearing these things, and I'm like, I don't know. It just doesn't sit right with me, Drew. Does it sit right with you, mate? Everyone seems to be okay with it. The chat seems to be okay with it as well.
I'm not.
I don't. Geek Jinx. I haven't heard his. I'm saying to you, I haven't heard the context. I don't know.
That's the thing, right? That's the thing. Without absolute context, I'm not really sure. I'm not sure if for the sake of conversation, for the sake of the show, if it was just I'll take 7th, then no. But I've got a feeling there's probably more meat to this bone. One thing I will say is that I think Levy missed a trick. He should have sat down with Ange, and Ange should have been some sort of consultant advisory, because apparently whenever he got on the blower, players signed on the dotted line. So we should have just had Ange calling these players up. Should still have him on the payroll. Doesn't have to be manager. Just have him on the payroll. Yeah, just come on, mate.
Yeah,
just
the women
quick,
have won the Euros. By the way, guys.
quickly, I think England have just done it. Have England done it? They've done it.
Have they?
Yeah, 3-1 on penalties. The penalties have been awful.
Wow! Congratulations. Yeah, awful penalties once again. Make the goal smaller, for God's sake. Make the fucking goal smaller. It's embarrassing. But
let's call even less penalties then. Or fewer.
No, but it's just, I mean, or either teach them how to hit the back, like if you know what I mean, like teach them how to hit the side of the net, because it's wildly poor standard. For me, no disrespect.
It's so cancelled, Butler.
I say some footballing all day long. People have a go at me when I do an accent of a Nigerian man or a Welsh man or whatever else. Like, I am the least woke person you could possibly imagine. I want to take the world back to the 1990s where everyone was fair game. And as long as you take the piss out of everybody, then no one can be offended. Unfortunately, I don't know why I have to love women's football. No one expects me to love baseball. No one expects me to love basketball. Why is it that I have to love women's football? I don't understand it. If you don't love it, then you're somehow the problem. It bores me to tears. But congratulations to the girls, like winning it again. Amazing. Well done to them. Well done to them. Let's move on to Paratici. You mentioned Paratici there, Drew. Johnny, I want to ask you, mate. I actually just did a video about this for the Spurs 5. I put it up earlier. Is Paratici what we need right now, Johnny boy?
Well, I said Ange. I said Ange needs to be calling. He was the one that was getting him over the line. I was just joking. Keep him on as a consultant, because every time he seemed to call players, he was getting them to sign on the dotted line. Should have kept him on the payroll.
There's another person that when he phones the call is picked up, right? And that's Paratici. And I'm just wondering whether or not the Tottenham world needs a little bit of a Paratici access point in the next couple of weeks here, Johnny boy. What are you thinking, mate?
What you mean, us as Spurs fans? Yeah, we need him spinning them plates and leaking information left, right, and centre. That'd be great, just especially for YouTubers to keep the information right.
Yeah, I'm bored, mate. I'm bored. It's difficult to. I'm getting a little bit embarrassed putting out the same stories every day. You know, that's why I have to go and put out shameless ITK sources, and then the next day have to come back and crawl between my legs and say I apologise. But
I mean, maybe tomorrow Gibbs White will be back on tomorrow. Maybe you could, just spin that now.
Well, it's not dead. It's not dead. He's just signed a new deal. But it's not dead. It's definitely not dead.
Is there a buyout clause for like 80 million? Because that's what they were trying to get out of City, isn't it?
that might actually be what's happened there. You know. But do you think Paratici needed right now, mate?
I mean, so convoluted. Like, who's in? We already had a little bit of a conversation about we don't quite know who's pulling the strings in the background. We don't quite know what's going on. Now we're going to add somebody else in who, is he going to come back full time? Is he still going to be a consultant? Does he work alongside Langer? Is he above Langer? Does Langer take care of the kids, even though Paratici is actually maybe arguably better with the kids? Like, we're just adding another cog into a machine that is already bumble fucking most of the things it does, pardon my French. So I just don't know. I mean, John, maybe I just don't know how the guy fits in.
I mean, what we do hear about Spurs is that the structure of the club probably hasn't grown enough over the last 25 years since Levy's been there, because the club has got bigger. It has, and the game has got bigger. So although we know all the coaches and the analysts and stuff there's more of them, but the top end of the club hasn't really grown as much. But I do agree. I don't quite understand how Langer and Paratici fit in together, because they're going to have different views. And unless Vinay can manage that, it's going to be, or if they have specific Paratici, you deal with this and you deal with that, Langer, it's going to be quite hard to judge that. Do they get their own budgets? Do they have to argue over the budgets? Right. Are they both on the transfer committee? There's a lot of ifs and buts there. But it is interesting that nothing's been announced that he's coming back. even though he's been there the whole time. He's been seen all the home games in the last 30 months, hasn't he?
Can I ask
know,
you guys a quick question?
Cool.
Yeah. I was gonna make it about sort of Paratici, but actually, I think we've got sort of 10, 15 minutes left. I wanted to ask you guys more around what do we do now? Morgan Gibbs White's dead. No, sorry, it sounded bad. The story is dead, allegedly. We got to move on to someone else. Harvey Elliott seems to be the story that's been linked. That's the sort of the sort of most similar-ish type of player. If you're looking for a 10 that can play the 8, but it's predominantly a 10 that can hang off the right, then Gibbs White and Harvey Elliott, they're different types of players, but they're still at least fairly similar. Or you can go down the 8 route and get a Douglas Luiz that can hang back a little bit more as a 6 and an 8, but not really be a 10. They seem to be the two stories that are out there. For some reason, Everton have walked away from Douglas Luiz. Half of Europe have been offered Douglas Luiz, but no one seems to want to buy him. I have to wonder why. Like, no smoke without fire. Maybe he's just not focused. Maybe he's going through some personal stuff. I don't know, but everyone seems to be a little bit distancing themselves from him. Now that Morgan Gibbs White's dead, do you expect Tottenham to continue to prioritise an 8/10? Or do you expect Tottenham to pivot away to another priority? Obviously, Sonny, I think we all hope, I'm not sure if I'm speaking out of turn here, but I think we all hope that he probably moves on after the Korean game, so next Thursday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you hope that there's maybe some movement there, and then we can focus on getting a left winger in that can play as a forward in that regard, like a Mikhail Tadzi, like a Gassand, although Gassand is now linked to Crystal Palace, which would wind me right up if he goes in that direction. I think he's a cracking player. A Callum Mwenda, another player we're linked with. But do you think that Tottenham now will pivot their attention to a different position, or do you think we'll continue to try to fix the same position we were trying to fix him with Gibbs White? And if so, last part of the question, then is Harvey Elliott the guy for you? And whoever wants to go, whoever hasn't spoken for a second.
John.
I think ultimately we need to be going for all these positions, don't we? We've got holes. We shouldn't just be looking at one player. And as we've said, for the last 17 days, what have we been doing? Surely we've not just been waiting for Morgan to sort out his issues with Forest. So we must have numbers of targets. It's always been the way. You have A, B, C, D options and maybe more for each position. I like Elliott. I think he's a good player. I think he was very good for the under-21s. He's obviously a bit of a tool, it appears, but he'd be our tool, and I'd love that. He'd wind up the opposition. He's a good player. I think he can play the forward role as well as he can play a deeper midfield role. He certainly did for the under-21s at times, and he did for Liverpool at times. So he's an option. He's a different player from Gibbs White, though, isn't he?
He's a different player. Question marks over his physicality, John?
Do you know what? He's quite burly, I think. I think he's built himself up a bit. He's not the tallest. I think he's 170, 1m70. So he's not very big, but I think he has got big. I mean, Salah's not the biggest guy, but no one knocks Salah off the ball, do they? And I think
he's built like a brick shit house. He's a small guy, but he's built like a tank, that guy, yeah.
Yeah. And I think Elliott would have looked at him and you can't have not learned from him for the 3 or 4 years he's been at Liverpool behind him. So I wouldn't be upset if we signed Elliott, I have to say.
James? Harvey Elliott?
Not for me, to be honest. I think he's a number 10. I don't think he's a number 8. I think it's a lot easier to do a number 8 when you're a number 10 in Liverpool than it would be to Tottenham. He would have responsibilities in Tottenham to track his men and hasn't got Van Dijks and stuff behind him. So for me, personally, no, I want a proper number 8 and a number 6, to be honest. And I think we need both. An Edison, someone along that line, someone that can actually dictate a game, not put a bit of sprinkle of magic on. And I'm not saying he can't do that. If somebody said to me, here's a list of number 8s, he doesn't get into my list of number 8.
Does he get into your list of numbers? So he doesn't make your list at all. You're not interested at all. Have you seen his stats, by the way? Have you seen his stats?
Yeah, and they're pretty good. But for me, no, he doesn't get on my list. Personally, I think he would upgrade our squad, and he does upgrade our squad. But for me, I want a job. I want players that are not going to upgrade our squad and be like, oh yeah, he'll do a job. I want players to fit that role perfectly. And I think the games that we played the weekend, I know it's only pre-season, but it was crying out for somebody to get their hold on that ball, do the graft up and down, and actually have a bit of quality. And for me, he's got the quality. I don't know if he's got the graft.
Drew, let me just walk you through this, right? This is compared to attacking midfielders and wingers in the per 90 stats in the last 365 days. 99th percentile for goals, 92nd percentile for shots, 98th percentile for passes attempted, 81st for pass completion, 98th percentile for progressive passes, interceptions, defensive side of the game. You say you can't play as an 8? Interceptions, 83rd percentile, 90th for blocks. Let me just show you some of this. Let me zoom back out a little bit. This is his shooting stats, his forward play stats per 90 versus attacking midfielders across all 5 leagues. Non-penalty goals minus non-penalty.
Is this the whole of the season? Is it?
This is on the per 90 basis over the last 365 days, right? Insane stat. When they just get to this passing.
What but it, could that could I mean I'm asking
just like what are we doing here?
90. Yeah, I have a question. I have a question on this. To be fair, because I don't understand.
Yeah, me too.
Per 90, but does that mean he could have scored 3 goals with 3 10-minute cameos, and that put him in that per 90? Because in theory, he would have had 3 goals in 30 minutes. Is that what?
Yep.
Right. Okay. So sometimes in that, for me, not screwed because it's different. But when you're coming on with 2-3-0 up and you're bringing on him and you're already top of the table, I think it's a bit different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
And this is, I mean, obviously the team that he's playing in, the recipients of the passes, all of that sort of stuff you have to take into, can you pick him out of this team, drop him into our team and have him replicate those same stats? And I don't think you can.
Isn't it these sorts of so the problem with stats is that you're right. You're absolutely right, James. Okay. By the way, he just carries on. The stats tell a story. You're absolutely right though. The context is, when did those things happen? How many minutes was he given? Against who? In what scenario? 100%. And then in order to know that detail, you then have to go and watch all of his minutes in those particular games to figure that out. At which point you might as well just dismiss the stats, because if you're watching everything that he's doing, then your eye test is good enough. Is sufficient enough, because you've gone into the minutiae, which is what I would hope that the Tottenham scouting staff do. They go on to the FB refs, they go on to various different things, Opta or whatever else, and then they go into the Y Scout and various other things, and then go into the detail because they're paid all day long to do that stuff. But for us, if we're looking at certain players, you're looking at a Morgan Gibbs White. If I was to get up Morgan Gibbs White's details, exactly the same context nuances apply. His stats are nothing like nothing.
Yeah.
Like
but one
the same context anomalies apply, right? So he might be playing more minutes, but in more minutes you have more opportunities. And so therefore, if the argument is he's only got 5 minutes and he does well in 5 minutes, but therefore we should ignore it, then
no, of course.
No,
that's where
you only have 5 minutes. Within those 5 minutes, you do things that are memorable, and you're smashing those stats. Yeah. To me, I don't think they can be dismissed. I think they should be baked in, and then you accompany that with your eye test, and you think, well, do you like him? Personally, I think that Harvey Elliott is a wildly underrated player. I thought so for the last 18 months.
Could you?
There are question marks around his physicality. I think he's sturdy, but he's obviously a little fella. And
what you just got up.
He needs to move to a team where he's going to get minutes and show his let his wings spread his wings.
Yeah, you know what you just got up there with all the stats. I mean, this is going to sound stupid, but what is Brennan Johnson's like? Because goals and stuff last season, he was really good. So I don't mean that to sort of compare, because Brennan Johnson was crap on the eye, but I'd like to see if they're remotely anything decent.
So against similar comparisons, right?
Yeah, just anything. Yeah, I'd just like to see to actually see.
This is Brennan Johnson.
So
he's got the good goals to shot ratio. We know why, right? We know why. So his goals tallies are very good. We know that. We know why. But look at those passing stats. Absolutely fucking trash. Look at the pass types. Absolute trash. Look at the goals and shot creations. Absolute trash. Apart from GCAs and fouls drawn. And then defense, barely mediocre, irrelevant. When you get 60 to 50%, you're just one of hundreds, right? You're one of hundreds. The guy's stats is awful.
That's good to know. Yeah, that's good to know. I mean, I wasn't comparing the two because obviously there's night and day, but it's good to see that because a lot of people say Brennan Johnson.
James, generally speaking, the stats don't waver too far from the truth when I look at Y Scout and then run them through it. Sometimes you get anomalies where you go, well, look, if you look at someone like Garnacho as a left wing option, right? His stats have got like massive greens, and then loads of reds, and then green, and then loads of reds. But all of the greens are in the things that you would want from a winger, and all of the reds are things that you don't expect from a winger.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
Like Ademola Lookman, who's just green. Ademola Lookman is a fucking baller. If we got Ademola Lookman tomorrow, I'm coming after all the Levy outers because I don't care who it was. I don't care if it was Joe Lewis. I don't care if it was Paratici. I don't care whoever it was on that. If we get Ademola Lookman back into the Premier League via Tottenham, that guy is worth everybody. And Ezequiel Palacios, David Smith. There you go, my boy Ezequiel Palacios. I'm still trying to push that narrative. I'm hoping that someone somewhere is going to pick up on the Ezequiel Palacios story because that guy is an absolute baller. But yeah, the stats don't generally waver too far from the eye test, if I'm entirely honest.
I've only seen Lookman in the Prem and he was crap. But I haven't watched him abroad.
4 years ago, right?
Yeah.
I think maybe even longer than that. You know, we're all getting old. If with everybody fit currently, let's just say everybody in the squad was fit, and what are we? Do we assume that it's going to be 4-3-3, or would Frank prefer a 4-2-3-1 with like a double 6 or double pivot at the base? Because my question would be with regards to the Harvey Elliott thing. If everybody is fit, and that means, you know, that Maddison was ready to go, Kulusevski was ready to go, where does he fit into that starting 11? Like, is he good enough to oust all of these guys? Does he not potentially block Berghvall? Where does he play? Because I had the same question, honestly, about Morgan Gibbs. No, Harvey Elliott, if he were to come in, but everybody was fit, like where does he? Because my 4-2-3-1 is 2 6s or 2 defensive midfielders and essentially kind of 3 attackers, you know, like Pochettino used to do, where he'd have the 2 at the base and then you essentially let Kane, Eriksen, Ali and Son kind of go and do their thing. And you were very solid at the back. And then obviously you'd have Rose and Walker. So where... I'm saying you're going to play... the green bars aren't great, but where does he go?
If you're going to play Harvey Elliott in the 8, then you need a 6 that has no ambition to do anything other than to win the ball back and sit and protect. If you're going to have the same argument for a Gibbs White, by the way, if you were going to play Gibbs White in the 8, you need to have a Polinia. You can't have a Gibbs White and a Bissouma. You can't have a Gibbs White and a Bentancur. You can't have a Gibbs White and a Berghvall. You have to have, like, they're all competing for the same position. You need a guy, like, if you're going to have a forward-leaning 8, which is what Gibbs White is, someone who drives with the ball, then you're going to, or anybody like him, then you're going to need a 6 that can sit and protect, because you know what's going to happen with our fullbacks. They're going to, at least one of them's going to bomb forward. So I think you need to have. That's what I've been saying forever. Like, I don't even care if Pelini is like only 70% of the Fulham version of himself. He still is yards above what we have in an area that we need absolute improvement. So, like, for all of these advanced.
You think Paulinia and Bentancur work?
Yeah.
Because if Paulinia and Bentancur work, then that arguably kind of unleashes a Berghvall, so you don't necessarily need to do a more. I don't think
Paulinia and Bentancur does work. I think Bentancur works in a balanced double pivot. but on that basis, I think you need someone next to him that also has a defensive mindset. Like you could put a Bentancur with a Douglas Luiz. That makes sense to me. Where both of them can get forward, they can pivot. I
think it would work because I think Bentancur has that blanket and knowing I can try this, because I think Bentancur's absolutely fantastic at that half spin, taking the pressure off.
Yeah, but he can't drive with the ball though. He can't.
No, but in doing so, this was I was going to kind of go on to the next question. If we was to have Kudus, Kulu, and Maddison as the three behind Solanke, then I think you could have a Bentancur, because all he's got to do is relieve the pressure, and then you've got three people that could keep the ball in front of him. So for me, it would work if he was to sort of almost play like no wingers and play really close behind Solanke, because it would be a matter of Paulinho winning the ball, knocking it to Bentancur relieving us of pressure, and then you've got your footballing ability up at the top four.
Yeah. And this the unknown. Oh, sorry, just quickly, the unknown also as well. And I'm not trying to snipe at Ange, but the unknown is we're going to be playing 10, 15 yards further back probably, and I've got a feeling the weight of all of our forwards are not going to necessarily have the weight of worrying about what's going on behind them, because there's always going to be a solid bank, so I just don't. It's an unknown, and as I say, the last couple of games has really just been about fitness, so we'll probably see more about that in the next few. But sorry, John.
I think there's a couple of things. I think Bentancur could play that role depending on the opposition, because it does depend what we're playing against, doesn't it? I also think Berghvall can play there because he's got the legs. The interesting thing for me, and I know we split the squad yesterday because we had 2 games, but Sarr played the 10 in the Wycombe game. And his job pretty much, he's not the most creative or the most intelligent player attacking wise, even though he scored the 2 goals. His job is about legs and running and closing down. And he did close the space down and he got in good positions. So maybe he's, it might just be, as I said, because we had the squad was split, but maybe he's thinking about that option as a 10 as well. So sometimes you have that hard work, especially away in Europe.
If you're going to, I think we would be, of all the midfielders that I don't want to sell, I don't want to sell Berghvall, obviously Berghvall, and I don't want to, I think that Sarr has got unique specificity that can be utilised in certain environments that I don't think, I don't know what role he really plays. I'm not sure what he's best at, but I know that he has something that no one else does, and that to me is valuable. And the same with people like Maddison. Sorry, not Maddison, Kulusevski. I think Kulusevski, when fit, offers something that no one else in our squad does. On that basis, you shouldn't sell him, personally. I think you can get Maddison's elsewhere if you want.
Also, we've got Donnelly to try and figure out as well, right?
Yeah.
No, thank you.
I'll get James going.
Oh, thank you.
Don't fancy him.
Yeah. Oh. No, I don't personally. No. For me, let's skip the Donnelly. For me, with Sarr is very, very key in the aspect of, for me, if you're 1-0 up or whatever, away at Inter Milan, last 10 minutes, that's when Sarr comes in. You go, look, you're going to now come on, and any balls coming forward, you don't allow them to come forward. That, for me, is what he's almost like a luxury player, but I don't mean that as in luxury as he's fantastic. I mean that as in, if you're 1-0 up away from home in the Champions League, he's probably the first name on the team sheet for me, alongside Danso, that comes on to kill the game.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's also got, I'm not judging. I haven't even seen the Wycombe game, but from what I heard, his finishes were he was in the right place. He found himself in good football, right? So I just think he's someone that can be utilised in a variety of different ways, but that's why you don't let him go, because he's so unique that you could use him you could give him a specific instruction to play as like a snuffer out of the risk sort of destroyer, or you could throw him up and let him be the guy. If you're chasing a game, he could be the sort of guy that can stretch tired legs as well. So that's why I don't want to see him go. But someone like Bentancur, if I'm entirely honest, I don't know if the chat are going to go mad at me here, but I don't care if Bentancur goes. I don't. Okay, he's a good player. I don't think he's a great player. I think he's a good player when he's fully fit, and I don't think there's anything that's world. There's nothing about him that's exceptional in any particular department, and that's why I'm okay with him leaving.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always said that if he was as exceptional as people make him out to be, he wouldn't have come to us. He would have gone to the likes of a Real Madrid or a Bayern Munich or somewhere like that when his contract was up at Juventus. I mean, he's good on his day. He does nice bits, but I mean, I'd be a hypocrite if I said any more than that because I just don't. I
can't stand him in the 6. I think he was responsible playing in the 6 last season for so many of our transitions not being snuffed out when they could have been. I think everybody only looks at him on the ball and thinks, oh, he's a wonderful player. If you play him in the 6 and he's good on the ball, therefore he had a good game. There's so many games when he should be touch tight to the danger man in transition, and his rest defense work is horrendous. He's so far off where he should be when we lose the ball in transition. And when we play the way we were last year with Angeball, you're going to lose the ball, especially when you've got people like Pape Sarr that aren't particularly touch tight with their own, or not touch tight. They're not pitch perfect with their passing. So,
but more importantly,
he's a massive risk in the 6. Always has been.
For me, more importantly, him and Bissouma have only got 1 year left on their contract anyway. So you've got to get rid or give them a new contract. There is no option. You don't allow them to run it down. For me, this is why again our son has to go, because regardless of what you think of him, 1 year left is say 20, 30 million or nothing. And same with Bentancur, say 10 million. You let all 3 of them run their contracts down, that's potentially 50 million for nothing. You can't afford to do that. Tottenham have to at one point go, okay, we'll let you go, we'll rebuild.
Yeah, whereas Bissouma's only got 4 million quid in wages, and if he was really digging his heels in, you could turn around and say, look, you bring in a 6 now, you bring in your Douglas Luiz or whoever it is, or your Paulinho, and say, look, Biss, best interest for you, mate. Best interest for everybody here is that you're not going to play the minutes. You're just not going to play. So we'd like you to leave. And if he says, "Nah, fuck you, I'm staying," then that you at least have the option of just paying off his contract, which is 4 million quid to make the space if you need to. Lads, listen, I've got to round off. My nephews and nieces are downstairs. It's family day, but we are going to hand everybody over to Sava, who's just started his show, guys. So stay where you are that are watching. I want to say a massive thank you to everybody. I think I've gone through the super. Oh no, sorry, Daniel Husen. Big up, lads. It's very much about where do we go from here. Does anyone think we have a plan? Well, I think we've just discussed a sort of our own versions of it. But yeah, it doesn't look good, mate, at the moment. I'm you know me, I'm not someone that sort of that wants to go after the ownership as much as many. But yeah, I'm starting to get my knickers in a twist a little bit. I think that there's certainly reasons and cause for concern. And as I said, long time ago, months ago, if Tottenham do not do something special this summer, then I will be an apoplectic version of myself come September the 1st. So look out for that. But thank you everybody for tuning in. John, what's coming up on the channel, mate, in the next week or so? Anything to look forward to?
I mean, Gibbo and Dave will be doing their grumpy old Spurs on Lads It's Tottenham on Tuesday, as they always do. I think myself and HG are probably going to try and get something out after the Arsenal game. HG was randomly third time he's been on a Ghanaian TV channel being talked to about Kudos the other day. So I've put that on the Lads It's Tottenham YouTube channel as well. It's a bit random, but yeah, it's quite entertaining watching it. It's quite a good laugh. I'll send you the link. But yeah, we've sort of been Gibbo and Davo have been sort of holding the fort, really. The rest of us have sort of dropped off it a little bit in recent times, but hoping to get back to it now.
Love it, mate. Thank you very much for coming on, buddy. You're an absolute superstar. The link is in the chat there, guys. So please do show everyone some love. Whoever channels are out there, whatever Tottenham channels, make sure you go and subscribe to them all. But there is John and the boys, Gibbo and everyone else's channel there. Lads, it's Tottenham. Please do go over there and subscribe. At the same time, I've got Spurs Diehards TTID, which is where Drew finds his home on a Friday night. Drew, how was Friday night show? What's coming? Is it next Friday night for you next time?
Yeah, next Friday with Adrian, and then Adrian and Ian have a show. I think 10 o'clock UK time tonight, and then I believe Adrian has a show on Tuesday as well. So yeah, all good. It's been going very well. Been getting some nice numbers. So I appreciate everybody tuning in. Appreciate you having me as always. Big up to people in the chat that thought I was getting a Morgan Gibbs White top. It's not. It's your boy. It's your boy. Give us another one, James. Go on, mate. Give us another one.
Does that say Richarlison? Is that what that says?
Does that say Richarlison on there, does it?
I'll
Nah,
take
so
my
it's not
crew
really-
over my James any day of the week with
Mate.
those 2 shirts on choice. What are we doing here? You know? James, thank you very much, my man. Have you got anything to plug for me?
No, mate. I'll just stay quiet. Mate, I've been getting some weird messages from random people. I've seen you on the channel and block.
Love that, mate. Love that. Listen, thank you very much, boys. Guys, stay where you are. I'm going to send you over to Football Heritage. Please do smash Spurs Talk Show raid into the chat. Let the boys over there know where you've come from. Appreciate you all. Thank you so much for the super chats. And lads, I'll be back tomorrow morning with Bugsy for another show. And also the Spurs 5 is also back tomorrow night at 8 p.m. And you'll see me on Football Inc. as well tomorrow at lunchtime, I guess, something around there. But thanks, everybody. Appreciate you, the 3 of you. Thanks so much, guys. Like, subscribe, and comment, guys. And as always, bye-bye.
Coming Spurs.